happy to speak a few words on the adjournment motion brought by Honorable Rauf Hakim. So this adjournment debate focuses on the situation of a group of Rohingya individuals who arrived in Sri Lanka by sea last month. As widely reported in the media, these refugees were found adrift on a fishing vessel in Sri Lankan waters and were rescued by the Sri Lanka Navy. It is commendable, it's a commendable humanitarian gesture on the part of the Navy. Let me therefore appreciate Sri Lanka Navy for the tremendous rescue and relief mission undertaken and the life-saving help provided. The good story, however, ends there. Instead, taking this exemplary story to its logical conclusion by showing compassion and care to the Rohingya refugees and asylum seekers, the Foreign Ministry, Defense Ministry and the government leaders have rather turned it on its head. Strikingly, the Foreign Ministry now appears to have become far removed from the reality and facts. The ministry, in the immediate aftermath of the rescue and relief mission, went on to state that the Rohingya individuals would be deported to Myanmar. Just imagine deporting them to a country which the Rohingya refugees have reportedly fled, seeking safety for their lives. Sadly, there is no understanding of what the customary international law principle of non-refoulement is about and how it works in practice. The Defense Minister's assertion is even worse. He went on to record as saying the government was in consultation with Myanmar authorities with a view to deporting Rohingya persons to Myanmar. It was morally repugnant and legally indefensible to take such a stance. Sri Lanka is under an international law obligation to ensure non-refoulement. It is a customary international law principle which prevents returning, repatriating or deporting any refugee against his or her consent. I'm making this point as once having served as a Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. To buttress what was indefensible, he claimed that Sri Lanka's intelligence agencies had reported that 100,000 illegal immigrants were planning to enter the country. This fearmongering comes from the absence of a clear communication strategy or the intellectual courage to explain or reason out developments as they happen. Consequently, the government creates narratives for short-term purposes. When a narrative goes out of hand, another narrative is created in its place as a diversionary tactic. It is this cascade of invented narratives, mutually contradictory and often counterproductive, that has dented Sri Lanka's image as a secure nation more than the induced spectre of refugees and immigrants settling in Sri Lanka and capturing the island one day. All this has
කරු සභානායකතුමා අද දින පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කල්තැබීමේ විවාදය අවසන් වන තෙක් කාලය ලබා ගැනීමට සභාව එකඟද?
මම යෝජනා කරන කරු සභාපතිතුමනි කෙටි කාලයකට සභාවේ කාලය දික් කරන්න කියලා පහමාටිවරකන් තිබුණේ. නිසා මන්තුමා කතාවත් තව කතාවකුත් තිබෙනවා ඒ දක්වා කෙටි කාලයකට දික් කරන්න.
Like I was saying, sir, all this has led to international and domestic outcry for several days now. The Foreign Ministry could have helped avert this situation if it had given timely, sensible and diplomatically persuasive advice to the government and the relevant line ministries and agencies. The Foreign Ministry should have examined how mutually and diligently the situation was handled amidst initial negative reactions when Rohingya persons arrived in the country several years ago for the first time. Where is that capacity, maturity and diplomatic powers now? It has been quite a while since the UNHCR addressed a request to the government of Sri Lanka seeking access to the Rohingya refugees. As a Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka has stated, Rohingya individuals have a right to access UNHCR which cannot be denied. It is deductible from the Commission's statement that the Rohingya refugees seeking to access UNHCR, or in other words, UNHCR seeking to access Rohingya refugees, is in keeping with Sri Lanka's laws. It is true that Sri Lanka has not acceded to the International Convention on the Status of Refugees of 1951 and its protocol in 1967. Still, there are international law principles that have bearing on this matter. Sri Lanka cannot disregard them. The first is the principle of non-refoulement, which means not returning, repatriating, or deporting a person seeking international protection against state persecution without the person's consent. The second is the humanitarian principle, extending safety, providing essential needs, including food, shelter, and medical care. The UN Declaration on Prevention of Enforced Disappearance of 1992 clearly forbids, through Article 8, a refugee from being returned to a country where there are substantial grounds to believe that he or she would be in danger of enforced disappearances. The government should understand that it cannot deport these individuals to Myanmar against their consent. Instead, it should facilitate the UNHCR to fulfill its function as a neutral UN agency mandated to deal with refugee affairs. So therefore, safety, food, shelter, medical care, and education are essential needs which should be provided without undue restrictions with the help of the donors as available. Thank you very much.